So good afternoon and welcome everybody to Sacramento, California. I'm sitting here with one of my students that I'm so proud of, Zag. So thank you so much for joining me today.
It's my pleasure.
And we are taking a few minutes to connect with you. We know a lot of people, at least in America, are off celebrating today. But many of you may be joining in from all over the world. So please pop in the comments below where you are joining in from, which city you are watching this from in the world. And if you like anything that we're saying, which we hope you will, you can feel free to send some hearts across the page to let us know we're doing a good job. This is the first time you and I are doing Facebook Live together.
It's actually my first Facebook Live ever, so.
Well, I'm happy to have your cherry, Zag. And you may just have to help me. I love this dress, but I'm always, Zag in our workshop, which we'll talk about in a minute, was on Boobie Patrol. This was one of his roles. So we'll have to see if the boobs stay in during the video. I wonder what the viewers have to say about that. So, why are we in Sacramento today?
Oh, we're having an awesome barbecue here in Sacramento at our friend Julia Tyndall's. She's a teacher, one of the teachers for Sarasa Tantra. And it's going to be a beautiful day here in Sacramento. It's a little hot for my taste, but it's going to dip in the pool is the solution, I think.
We've already stuck our feet in the pool to get ready for this video for all of you. And yeah, it's almost 100 degrees today, so it is pretty warm. Thank you for enjoying my cleavage, Midori. I'm glad you approve. So part of why I'm really proud of Zag is that he is one of the graduates from our recent Sarasa Tantra group facilitator training, which we finished, was it really only last week?
It was really last week, last Tuesday.
Oh my God.
I'm still flying high with the juice from the weekend. It was awesome.
So tell us more about that. How did you feel at the end of the training?
Initially I was spent because it's 5 days solid. I mean, it's 2 5-day modules. So by the end of it, we were working the energy, and I really felt both spent, but then just elated to have accomplished that and to have learned so much over those 10 days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can check out how Zag was glowing. There's this wonderful picture which I put on my Facebook today of him standing between Julia and I, and it's really beautiful. You can look at the album. It's called Sarasa Tantra Group Facilitator Training, and not only to see Zag, but some of the other wonderful people that joined us for this journey. And, you know, Julia and I are both intensity junkies, so we put a lot into the 5 days, and we did 2 modules, 5 days each, to really break it up and to allow people some integration time.
Yeah, and it was great because we both got to learn from Julia and Caroline, and then we actually got to practice with our students, with our fellow students. So we got to both learn and do, and that really helped to integrate it and to bring it, to make it easier to access when I need to use it.
Right.
It was a wonderful training, and in terms of my tantric practice, it's advanced me light speed to where I was before the 10 days.
Wonderful. Yes. And what was it we were making you do? People all over the world might be wondering, what is it we were watching you do, Zag?
Of course, I have some training in Tantra with Caroline and with other schools, and I got to learn how to teach the exercises that I was doing in other pujas and ceremonies, so now I have resources and I have the ability to actually facilitate. For instance, one of my facilitations recently was at a workshop that I've done, a conference I've done for the last 8 years, which is a business conference, but I was able to bring Tantra into that business conference by calling it Facilitating Sexy. And I got to,
love that, Facilitating Sexy.
And I got to use a lot of the practices that we learned in the training.
Great.
Yeah.
And I got to see some of the pictures of that, which I haven't posted yet. But You were in a forest, which always is a great favorite of mine, and you facilitated a group of about 100 people.
Yes, that's correct. Well,
Right.
it's a conference I do every year, and it's in the Mendocino Woods, and we do opening and closing exercises. So you may be familiar with the melting hug exercise, and I did that with about 120 people, and I'm a facilitator in my business. So being able to bring the tantric practices into that facilitation is just, I'm blessed to be able to do that because it's so powerful, especially for people who have little to no experience with tantra.
Right. And it's so true that so often we think Tantra is just about sexuality or can only be for couples wanting to learn about more intimacy. But I love it that you brought it into your already existing community. And we watched a number of students do that. We had a few students that were nurses or that worked in the very urban corporate world. And it's really great. It has so many amazing applications. Really about teaching presence and about clear communication, and it can be used as an amazing team building exercise given the right context. And it's a big passion of Julia and mine to really help Tantra be as available and applicable to the modern day world, and try and use language. It's kind of an unlearning for Julia and I, because a lot of Tantra is taught with this language that only people in the Tantra world understand. So it's often why my postings are quite explicit, because if I talk about things like Amrita, nobody knows what that is unless you've studied Tantra. Or about a lingam, that's why I call my classes Polishing the Penis, Mind-Blowing Techniques of Erotic Massage.
Which is an awesome class, by the way.
Well, we're doing it again,
know,
right?
July.
Zag is going to join us again, July 22nd, for that. And I love it. I'm not going to out them, but some of our other recent students from the teacher training have jumped on this Facebook Live as well. So it's really about community. That's a big part. So what do you want to speak about in terms of the people that were at the training with you?
The community people that were there were awesome. Heartfelt and open, and to be honest, when I walked into the room the very first day of the 10-day training, I was actually a bit intimidated because there were energy workers, they're energy workers, and they're yogis, and they're massage therapists, and there are all these awesome, heart-open, energy-aware people. And you know, I'm a witch for 20 years, and I do event facilitation. But what I've come to realize is that that's actually holding space, and that's what I've been doing for years. And these people all have different gifts with this energy, very strong, energetic folks. And it was just a pleasure to have worked with all of you. For those of you online, hi, but for everybody that was in the training, both Module 1 and Module 2, it was just a joy. It was just a joy.
And you all formed such a beautiful, close-knit bond. And in the end, some of the ways I watched students facilitate was actually to do really personal things and healings for each other. And a lot of this training was about not only teaching the tantric practices, which are very important, but also how to run a business, how to get yourself set up so that this can really sustain you. Julia Tyndall and I run Sarasa Tantra group facilitator training, and we really want to support people in thriving as opposed to starving. I have so many colleagues that are really great at what they do, but they have no idea how to translate that out into the business world.
Yeah.
And so that was a really
Well,
important piece.
And that's a pet topic of mine as well, because I have 20 years as a consultant, so I understand the business piece, and I agree with you. It's often difficult for many practitioners, energy practitioners, to really understand that business aspect. So I'm really appreciative that you're teaching us that piece of it as well.
Thank you. Well, I come from the corporate world. I did many years wondering, nothing wrong with doing corporate if that works for you, but I was like, why am I here? And I had no idea that that was really laying the foundation for learning how to run my own business. So it became hugely valuable, and it also helps me, and this is to encourage any of you out there who might be like, what am I doing with my life? It was really the building blocks. You know, I worked in finance, I worked at Merrill Lynch on the largest trading floor in Europe, and I got to see what it's like when you're dealing with C types like CEOs and what their needs are, and so I can speak their language, which is really helpful when they're approaching me
Sure.
for a session.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Zach, I'm so curious, what inspired you to sign up for this training originally?
I had an awakening about four years ago where I had rediscovered my connection with energy and my empathy. And in the last 2.5 years, I've been exploring this tantric path with Caroline and with other teachers as well. And Caroline reminded me at the end of the last session, as I was receiving my certificate, that my very first tantra class with her, I came to her and I said, someday I'm going to be teaching this stuff. And indeed, here I am. This has been such an amazing experience for me, really getting in touch with myself and learning to be present and learning to live in every moment in the tantric dance. And there's really a need for it out there, especially amongst my peers are really men younger than me. I'm 50 years old. I know, don't quite look it. And if I can bring that to that community, if I can share that with the skills that I have as a tutor and a coach, then I think that's a calling that I want to explore. So that's why I signed up.
Beautiful. And I didn't quite believe Zag the night I met him. I don't know if I told you that part, but he keeps showing up and he keeps coming. And we were talking in the pool before we started this video, just saying, Zach has pretty much signed up for everything. He's coming to Mexico with us for our Escape to Paradise, Tantra in Mexico, which is happening in Yalapa, and in December of this year. And we have a retreat, which isn't even live yet, that's happening in Joshua Tree in March. And Zag is just diving right in, and I really love that about you. You commit wholeheartedly. You also assisted us in the program, and his support was invaluable so that Julie and I could really focus on the teaching that we were offering. And Zach comes with this beautiful heart of service. There goes my top again. Just to make sure you're all paying attention on the video. That honestly was one of his duties one day when I wore this dress. He was it's like, you have to tell me if my boobs pop out. And if anybody enjoyed that moment, you can let the hearts fly across the screen. Thankfully, the bed is slightly in the way to keep me somewhat protected. So I just want to read Scott's comment. And yeah, a lot of people, some of you can read the comment on the video, and Scott's talking about not having money to do trainings or to show up for things. And I want to share a very personal story that when I first started exploring Tantra, I was going through a divorce at the time. I'm a mama, so I had my son, a little boy to look after. He's not so little anymore, but he was at the time. And I was honestly on unemployment when I went to my first Tantra teacher training. I literally got my friends to gift me money for my birthday so I could attend. But I was that determined that this Tantra thing had blown my mind and I wanted to learn more. So I did everything I could to make it happen. And while in the scope of this video, I can't teach you all about sex magic, but that's one of the things that we worked on in this training to help you focus on an intention and then use tantric practices to actually help you call in abundance. And I've used that tremendously with my business to support, different goals I had, or like the home that I now use to teach in and that I give my sessions in. When I first signed the lease on that, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to make the first month's rent. Honestly, and I'm a pretty hard worker. Most of you see me on Facebook a lot. But aside from just doing the work, I also use these energetic practices that we teach at the trainings, specifically at the Tantra teacher training, to help overcome some of these obstacles. So the practices can have a very tangible impact on your life, as opposed to, there certainly was plenty of bliss and fun.
Oh, bliss and fun.
Right?
And, I had mentioned before that I originally come from a pagan Wiccan tradition, and a lot of that is about setting intent and using that energy to create intent. And at the beginning of the second module of our teacher training, Caroline and Julia had us write our intent down on a piece of paper and to put it on the altar so that over the 5 days, that intent could be charged. And the intents, while I don't know what all of my classmates wrote, I can speak personally and say I had a number of them, a couple that were personal and a couple that were financial in regards specifically to this practice, to help me find the way that I can both do this practice and sustain myself. I'm not quitting my day job. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we advise all the brand new graduates, do not quit your day job yet. You want to slowly ramp things up, right?
I spent the first 10 years of my professional life in professional theater as a stage manager, production manager. So I understand you need those other skills, and you need to be able to leverage those other skills while you're searching for your dream and finding your bliss.
Right. And I mean, I did the same thing. So we want you guys to be smart about this, but we're definitely here to support you. And whether you join in the teacher training, the next one, you actually have to wait till next year. I will pop the links in. I actually did pop the links in the title so you can find the dates, but it starts towards the end of May 2018. But if any of you can't wait that long to learn about sex magic, you are welcome to send me a personal message with your phone number and email address, and we could set up a coaching session anywhere in the world, and I can talk you through the foundational principles of sex magic. The one key that I'll say is you can do sex magic even with your clothes on, and you can do it whether you have a partner or not. It can include sex, but it doesn't always have to. So that's my little free pro tip today. I'm curious, coming back to the training. Spirit is playing with us and keeping this conversation juicy today. What was the highlight, or what were some of the best moments of the training for you?
Oh, wow, that's a difficult question, Caroline, because it was pretty much just a blur of happiness and wondrousness. There were different things I liked the best for different reasons. In general, I just really enjoyed being able to practice, that is, being able to teach and get that practice in. There were a couple specific moments. I remember a melting hug with one of my classmates that was just so yummy and memorable. And then there was shadow work that we did with Julia that was, while it wasn't pleasant, it was particularly powerful and meaningful. And it really helped me in the very last days of the training to understand that I can do this work, and I was very blocked about that, and it became very apparent to me in that moment that I can really do it, and I'm just so thankful for that.
Thank you for being willing to get vulnerable.
Sure.
On Facebook Live. I didn't warn him about that, so I'm glad you took the
Is this
plunge.
live? Oh, man.
No, about diving into the shadow. But both Julie and I are really committed to exploring all aspects of Tantra, not just the blissing out, which is wonderful and fun, but also, working with people's sexuality is deep shadow work. And if we want to go and support others in this work, we really have to explore ourselves first. And that was an exploration we've started with the students in this training. And of course, it's a lifelong, ongoing excavation. So I'm trying to think what else, if there's anything else I should ask you. Is there anything you want to ask me?
I want to know how it is that you and Julia came together to create this new endeavor. So the idea of Sarasa Tantra is just so yummy and appealing to me. And I've studied with many different schools, but the idea of what you two are doing is very special. So I'm curious how you came to this.
Oh,
place.
I love this question. I didn't prompt him with this question, by the way.
This is totally my idea.
This is awesome. There's such a long answer, and I've got to keep it short because we have a pool party to get to. Julia, who, by the way, was skinny dipping, which is why she wasn't on this video. We had great views of her out the window. She's dealing with the heat her way. But Julia showed up at a conscious touch class that I was teaching a few years ago, and things were going horribly wrong. My venue, this had never happened before, but my venue like didn't even open that night. Like Julia had to help me find a venue. It was chaos. And here I was trying to make this good impression on this, I had a sense of who Julia Tyndall was, and here she was coming to my class. And I spent like an hour and a half getting my room ready and setting the intention and getting the energetics dialed in, and I didn't even have a venue. And somehow Julia happened to fall in love with me and think I was great. And we started hanging out and then led our first retreat on Maui, actually. And then the following year again on the Big Island. But both of us, we would kind of teach our little sections. She would teach her class and I would teach my class, even though we were holding the group together. And then we did one little 2-hour section where we co-taught. But we were kind of tentative in fully integrating. And it was actually it was last year, right after our Escape to Paradise Tantra in Hawaii, on the Big Island. We were so blissed out after an incredible week of swimming with turtles and watching our students have amazing breakthroughs and really getting to play in all of this energy, which you got a taste of it for 5 days. But when you're off in somewhere exotic, like we're going to do in Mexico, it just takes you to another whole level. And I was about to say we were going to sleep together. I don't sleep with my students, but we're going to be staying in these gorgeous places together. And Julia and I, we literally didn't even take a break. We kind of woke up the next morning after the training, and we were sitting outside having breakfast overlooking the sea, and we started visioning this Tantra school, Sarasa Tantra, and then how we were going to lay out the teacher training. And what was so amazing about that was we were literally still riding the crest of the energy from the retreat and incorporating that into what we were birthing. Thank you for the hearts, you guys. This is so close to my heart, and I love that you're holding your heart as I talk about this. But I wanted to So I still need to practice my Sanskrit better, so please be gentle with me, those of you that are Sanskrit scholars. It's Sarasa Tantra. And the word Sarasa I discovered from my teacher, Dr. Lauren Roche. You see, I rave about him a lot. I put him in my newsletter this week. He wrote a book called The Radiance Sutras, which is a poetic translation into English from Sanskrit of a tantric text called the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. We can all practice saying that together. Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Zach is like, what? You didn't tell me I was going to have to say that on video.
It was a pop quiz. I failed.
It's all good. Anyway, and frequently on Facebook and on Instagram, Lauren posts Sanskrit words, and I saw this word Sarasa, and it means juicy, potent, full of life. And I was blown away. I'm like, yeah, there we go. See, it really wants to come out. Even the boobs are getting excited about this thought. But it was just so perfect for the vivaciousness and the passion that Julia and I bring to the kinds of Tantra that we both teach, and the traditions that we wanted to weave together. Yeah. So, wow, I love your question, Zach. Thank you.
The passion is definitely there, and the way that Julia and Caroline bring their different practices together, I think it weaves very well, and will make for a very potent practice as we continue down the road.
Thank you.
I'm excited to be a part of it.
Us too. And something else that some of the other students said, I remember that I even considered. Julia and I disagreed about an approach to an exercise or a way we would teach something, because we have studied with, some of our teachers are similar, like we both studied with Margot Anand, but we bring such a range of experience into the room that sometimes Julia would teach something one way and I'd go, well, I actually like to do it a different way. And a few of the students commented that was really valuable to see that, and then also to learn that you get to find your own voice for how you want to translate these practices out in the world.
And that's really important to me, of course. My entree into Eastern philosophy is fairly recent for me. Although I've studied it all my life, the actual practices have only been in the last 5 to 8 years. And I was very much a practicing neo-pagan. So it's nice to be able to bring some of those practices into my work, because that's and so it's not so stringent or so strict that I can't incorporate the things that are important to me and the things that speak to me in practice, which I love. And the integration is just wonderful.
Well, we're going to get to do some more lovely integration in a pool and in a community of other people that are interested in Tantra and many of the other retreats that we offer. So we are going to head off soon, but we would love you, if you have any other questions, to pop them in the comments below. I know I'll certainly be paying attention even after the video's ended, and perhaps Zag will hop on too. In from, and I didn't see anybody write that down, so please let us know which city in the world you watched this from, and if there's any particular point in the video that you loved or appreciated, feel free to drop that in the comments as well. Let's send the love flowing and pour those hearts out on the screen, and we're sending love and sending the beautiful energy we cultivated at this training out to you, whatever healing you need in the world today. As we're wrapping up, Julie is coming in! Awesome! We told them
Happy 4th of July. We're here at my house having a pool party. It's really fun already.
we told them you were skinny dipping and we could see you outside the curtain, and that's why you weren't.
Anybody with a satellite might be passing by.
And that's why you weren't yet on the video. Excuse me. But Julia came to join in. So how Sarasa happened and what Zag loved about the training. What was the best part about the Sarasa Tantra group facilitated training for you?
Oh, it was watching everybody come into their mastery with learning the techniques, loving the techniques, embracing them, and then sharing them. I was just stunned at how people got it so quickly, actually. Of course, they had great teachers.
Right, they did. But it was fun to watch them step into their power.
Yeah, I mean, just the progression, some people were seeing it for the first time, and they still really picked it up very well. And I hear some of them are already doing groups and using them, and I mean, practice groups mostly, but people are already getting out there in the world and sharing what we taught, which warms the cockles of my heart. So
English, the cockles of her heart. A student who's already in France teaching right now. She literally left the training and got on a plane the next day. And I've been hearing from some of my students that they've been learning with some of our students.
Yeah.
So we love the way that this work is getting integrated. And now we get to go and celebrate that all with our party today.
I think I just heard someone come in. So I'm
Exactly. Well, we're going to end off too. We're sending lots of love, and thanks so much for tuning in. And yes, we'll be all serious and namaste. Namaste. Bye, you guys.